Blog Talk Radio.
Calling all loud women.
Saludos, saludos, transmitiendo desde Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Estás escuchando a Cafecito Break Monday Morning with Rosangel, Perez, and Ruthie, Guten. This is your host, Rosangel. Today is Monday, February 24th, 2014. Welcome, Cafecito Breakers. Welcome to another delicious show and another delicious, beautiful Monday morning. Cafecito Break is a show produced by the Perez sisters, donde hablamos de todo un poco, a little bit of everything. In this space, we chat about love, relationship, spirituality, ancient wisdom, truth, health, pleasure, y mucho más. We at Cafecito Break are a small group of women co-creating and envisioning a world filled with abundance, health, love, joy, pleasure, and prosperity for the most benevolent of the world. Today we have a very special guest, Host of New Realties, Steinfeld. Well, my beautiful co-host, Ruthie Guten, isn't with us today, pero te extrañamos y un saludito, un cariñito bien especial. Ruthie, I love you. She's with her papito right now, who isn't feeling very well. We're sending love and prayers to your papito and your family, love and blessings, and lots of health. Saludos, Cafecito Breakers. I am not going to just hesitate any longer. I am so excited about Steinfeld, who is host of New Realities, who is with us today. And he joined us on Cafecito Break right before December 2012. Saludos, Steinfeld. How are you?
Good. It's nice to be back here on your beautiful program. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I'm smiling ear to ear. I feel like it's so funny how it's something so special happens when where we meet and we're connecting with like-minded souls with the soul family, which is what a lot of what's been happening, and I've observed in the last couple of years, there's been like a mass awakening everywhere. People are awakening to so many things, not just spirituality, but to truths about our who we are, what this planet is, like what our history is, what the government isn't telling us. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. And you are providing such a beautiful service to humanity because you're exploring so many of these topics. You're interviewing so many of these people, and primarily focusing in the spiritual realm with mind, body, soul, and all those things. And I am always fascinated to discover who you've interviewed and who you've spoken to. And today, Alan, if it's okay with you, we would just love to explore, how that journey has been like for you. Where did it start? And if you could kind of, introduce yourself to the Cafecito audience, for those who haven't, who are new to your work, and let's take it from there.
Well, okay, sure. So where did it start? I think it starts before birth. I think we incarnate from the other realm into this world to do something, to accomplish something, to expand ourselves. So we have to come from like an orientation. Who are we? Are we our bodies, or are we something bigger than our bodies? And I think we're learning and understanding in Western culture that there's something more to us. I mean, of course, Native Americans, many traditions around the world have had that understanding. But in the West, in the U.S., North America, we haven't come from that orientation, and that's what's changing now. That's what's so exciting. So we're coming into a phase of our evolution, and programs like this, the one I'm doing, we contribute to an overall understanding of a new culture, and that's what's emerging. So I came to this awareness thinking that there must be something more than just material existence, and that happened to me because I had certain experiences I could not explain in common everyday terms. I had out-of-body experiences where I felt like I was traveling, and I had dreams of UFOs, and I had psychic impressions and empathic responses to people where I would feel what another person was feeling. And I don't know how I felt that, but somehow I knew that's what happened, and I check it out with the person and say, yeah, are you feeling this? They say yes. And so we're coming into other facilities of awareness that haven't been recognized before in the West, and we are learning to talk in a new language that recognizes these possibilities. And when that happens, an evolution of our collective awareness grows. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, it does.
Yeah. Well, you're a beautifully sensitive person. You feel, this program you and your sister do it out of love and expansion and possibilities. So all of us are contributing to this collective because we're really one being. We're really not separate. We're really, fingers on the same hand. We're all part of one consciousness, and we're starting to wake up to that. And some people are waking up before other people, and that's okay. But all of us collectively are waking up, so we've become a one humanity, and that's evident. And, going back to that last program that I did before December 21st, 2012, that shifted, I think, on December 21st, on 2012, when the end of my encounter or the rebirth of that, that awareness is growing. And I think if we can compare what happened before to after, we can say that it's more in our collective consciousness that we're all part of something bigger and we're part of each other, and something new is possible here. And it's really an exciting time for humanity because we're no longer have to just think about our survival. We're thinking about how we can, work together to bring something that hasn't happened before here to planet Earth. And that's very exciting.
It is really exciting. I mean, I definitely did notice so many of the changes, whether it was just feeling the environment around me, after 2012, and just sort of just feeling like there was more light. A lot of people report that 2013 was a difficult and trying year and challenging. And I think, and I'd like to get your insight on this, Alan, for me personally, it was, but I feel like what was coming up was just old things that just needed to be looked at, needed to be released so that more newness could come in. What's your take on that?
No, absolutely. I think that's a really good point. I think 2013 was challenging. I think 2014 will even be more challenging in some ways because we're being called upon to be stretched, stretched beyond what we think we are. So it's like we're being pulled in new directions of ourselves. This is the year of the horse, according to Chinese astrology, and I think the horse moves swiftly. The horse leaves the past behind. We have to get on that horse and run with it, because that's what's being, in a way, asked or demanded of us, and that is challenging. We have to let go of the past, all of us, each one of us, because it's been sort of cozy and cushy and, comfortable, and and it's not comfortable anymore. We have to, something new is happening. It has to happen. It has to happen with each one of us, and that is challenging. I mean, for me, I know I'm being like really pulled in new directions that are good, but I have to, you have to do something. We have to make it happen too. So
I'm actually happy that you mentioned that, because I think that there's this common misconception, and I know I've heard it before. It's like for those of us who are actively doing the spiritual holistic work, not only for ourselves but in contribution in service to others, that there's this perception that everything is going smoothly for us all the time, that everything is just easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I think that is a misconception. I think that's what people take as a spiritual bypass. Oh, I'm spiritual, everything is beautiful. But no, I think more is demanded of us, actually. I think it doesn't get easier in a way. It gets, I wouldn't say harder, because that makes it sort of like a task. I think it's more is added on. I think there's some saying, when you do more, you get more is asked. So yeah, it's not easier. It's harder in a sense, And I think that's a really good point for listeners, for people to understand that it's because it's bigger. The picture is bigger. The awareness is bigger. There's more energy to hold. In a way, this 3-dimensional plane is the simplest. It's very basic. And when you start to tap into these other realms, you realize there's an infinite amount of possibilities and dimensions and spaces all happening here. And we are being stretched to this multidimensional awareness where our minds are asked to explore the unknown. And that's what I think is the key. And that's really where we all have to focus, not on what we know, but on what we don't know.
And for those listening who are open to the idea, because, everyone is in different points in their journey. And sometimes, and I see that, and I see it that sometimes those of us who are so far into our awakened journey, because we're all awakening, a little bit each day, and we're all learning so much. And like you said, there's so much to discover, and it's an infinite amount of possibilities. But for those who are awakening, like in terms of just feeling the initial inclinations, like, something seems to be, there's something more about my day. The people who are in the day-to-day jobs, who are kind of questioning, maybe wanting to a change, like, or wanting to maybe seek more of a connection with themselves. Like, any recommendations? Like, where would they start? Like, what to look for? Like, what?
I think that's a really good question. So you're asking, how can people have more connection to themselves? Is that what the question sort of is? Well, I think they have to start with themselves, I can recommend looking outside to different things, but I think that also takes people away from themselves. I think we have to start right here with the self, and I think going within, just meditating or whatever that means for people, just closing their eyes and just spending time with their own inner essence. Shut off the radio, close your computer, don't watch television, don't read anything, and just spend time with your own mind or your own feelings. It's like we have a taboo in our culture against just being with ourselves. It's like we think that, this whole psychological stigma of healing your own mind, and it's been some like weird psychology. It's like if you of going crazy or something that's been put on us if we're with ourselves. You know, we always have to be looking out there. And I think that's one of the fundamental flaws in the Western culture, is the psychological paradigm that has been imposed on us to divorce ourselves from who we are. And I think, you know, I have a whole thesis about this, but psychology has gotten us far. We needed to understand ourselves. We need to, you know, go beyond what psychology has given us, what Freud and Jung and all these people, these geniuses have created as a way of understanding. And now we have to go to the next level of this evolution and realize we have to go back into ourselves. So, you know, we have to know ourselves. You know, Socrates said that, you know, 2,000 years ago, and that's where it starts from, know thyself. I think Jesus even said, I mean, I think everyone has said that who's been a spiritual teacher. It's like, know thyself. And when you know thyself, I think that was over the Oracle of Delphi, know thyself and you will know the universe. That's sort of like the key to this new time of understanding. So as we go into our own mind, as we take time to just be with our own thoughts and not think there's anything wrong with that, to understand our own feelings, then we start to develop an awareness that there's more to reality than a linear expression. You know, there's more than just this world, that these impressions and these feelings start to activate a bigger picture for us. And then to trust what we're getting is the key to the next level of our evolution.
Very well said.
Comprende?
Thank you, my friend. I comprende. Thank you. And I really do appreciate these questions because, you know, this is something my sister and I, we're often talking about, just, you know, how important it is to have these conversations and to make them, you know, like reachable, because sometimes depending on where we are in our path, I remember, and this happened to me very like after I peaked at my spiritual awakening a couple of years ago, I was having a conversation with an old colleague of mine, and it was the awakening moment there for me was when she looked at me and had that look at her face like, I have no idea what you just said to me. And that was because at that moment I realized, wow, my language has changed. The things that I'm using has shifted. I'm grabbing new words now in my expression, and I've left old ones behind. And so it was almost like that disconnect. And so for me, it's one of the things that I learned at that moment was that, you know, to look for certain ways, for ways to, other words to describe what I was going through, because I realized that certain words are taboo. Certain words are still too overwhelming for people to accept. Even something like that, you know, there's spirits around us, or, you know, that realm, like that's something that's still very hard. And then moving even further to that discussion of, are we alone in the universe? You know, like I've had people look at me and saying, well, did you just take some drugs? What are you talking about, Space Brothers?
Well, you know, I love to do that. I love to get those people. I mean, just what you said was very brilliant, you know, because when people have that look on that face, like I have no idea what you're talking about, in a way I love that, because it's like, I'm planting seeds of possibility. I'm shaking up that paradigm. They have two choices at that moment: to shut off and say, this person is crazy, or to say, maybe you're saying something I have yet to know, and maybe you're helping me expand into new areas. Most people won't do that. They'll shut off and say, okay, I'm writing this person off. They've lost it, and you know, they can't relate. But those that are open and saying, well, you're a pretty normal, sane person, and maybe you're saying things that are possible, and I'm here to expand into that. Well, that's what my job of that's why I call my company New Realities, because in order to understand exactly what you said, people have to shift into a new reality. They have to give up what they know and search for what they don't know. You know, the Greek philosopher Heraclitus says, expect the unexpected because it's difficult and hard to find, meaning unless we're always on the awareness for what we don't know, we're going to create a very secure reality based on predictability, and we don't expand. So my job, and maybe your job, is to get people to have that look on their face and shake them up and say, what are you talking about?
I love it. And talking about predictability, goodness.
Safety, security, predictability. That's most people want to live there. You know, the world is not safe, it's not secure, and it's definitely not predictable. And if we accept that and go into the adventure of the unknown, then life is exciting.
It's interesting, and I'd like to explore that a little bit because I was just having a conversation similar this past week, and we weren't using the word predictability, but we were using, as I'm talking about how routine. We were talking about routine.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
And then we were also off that subject talking about how there's a quote-unquote illusion that our day-to-day, that there's a safety within that routine. But in actuality, everything that we do, there's a risk. And it's not like looking at life as a scary thing, but just that everything is unpredictable, that the reality is that we can't control anyone else, that, it's just the awareness of what we can learn and open up to, within our own journeys, but that our world is really just unpredictable, and that's where the magic is. That's where you feel alive. Like the birds are living day to day, the animals around us, and the planet and the plants, like they're going through their cycles and they're blossoming, and they're, it's everything is still in that beautiful movement, and this illusion that to be in that control and that false control that doesn't exist. But it takes so much stress away from us. That obsession, that compulsion, it's very stressful. And I'm addressing it because I was living within that compulsion and obsession, and I needed to control and put everything in a box. And this goes over here, my friends are over there, and work life is over here, and family time is over here. And I will not mix any of those worlds at all whatsoever, because I am going to be a different person in each of these boxes. And then it takes a lot of work to manage all those boxes. And then it stresses you out. And now I've been moving toward all these boxes can play together, and sometimes there's fireworks. But it's easier that way, to expand your world, to be like, I don't want to live in a box. I don't want to live in anybody's box. I just want to be.
Exactly. And you and your sister are so beautiful in the way you're always giving love out. Both of you are pure expressions of love and joy and possibility and community, that just that presence expands people that you guys come in contact with, So you're doing that. You've broken through to a new level. That's what I see about both of you, So thank you for doing that.
Well, listen, we love you, and my sister and I, for those who are listening, New Realities is a portal for conscious and holistic activities. So not only can you catch Alan on some videos that he's interviewed so many people, but if you're in New York City, he is often just hosting all these different events and activities, and then he does things in other places where he travels. So I know you're a very, very busy bee, but
can I just say?
Sure.
Oh, no, this Thursday I'm hosting an event with a guy named Mitch Horowitz who wrote a book called One Simple Idea, which is about this culture that we're creating. He talked about the positive thinking movement. Maybe you guys should come. It's at the Meta Center, and it's about the history of how we have gotten to this point of this awakening. It really is about that. How did we get here? What's the path of a historical evolution? That's happening Thursday, February 27th at the Meta Center. You can look at the Meta Center NYC. But a big thing I'm doing is in Sedona. Have you ever been to Sedona?
Not yet.
Oh, you should come in April 12th and 13th. I'm doing a conference on the immortality of consciousness. There's some people who've had amazing near-death experiences. Anita Morjani, who wrote a book called Dying to Be Me, and Eben Alexander. He wrote a book called Proof of Heaven, and they're getting together with J.J. Hurtak, who wrote The Keys of Enoch. So all these people have had experiences that proved to them that they were beyond their bodies. They were greater than their bodies, that there's a level of awareness that transcends the physical, and that's who we are on this eternal level. And we're going to be talking about this in Sedona. Wow. You can see that on my website, April 12th and 13th. It's a big conference. We want everyone to be there. And Sedona is just a magical place of red rocks, and that is just being in Sedona, Arizona is an evolution because it activates these other parts of our brain. These red rocks create a magnetic field, and we are already living in the next dimension when you're in Sedona. So having this conference in Sedona, I think, is very, very exciting.
Wow, that does sound exciting. I'm not sure we'll be able to make it for this one, but I will be there, spirit.
Okay.
We will. Like my sister and I, we know that it's just a matter of time before we get over to Arizona. We cannot wait.
What are you doing in April?
We've got a couple of things cooking in April. We've got a little shop botanical too, and thank you for all the people who have been supporting and coming to visit our little store. We call it our cocoon of love.
Where's your store?
It's in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
What's the address?
It's 240 Kent Avenue. Williamsburg, Brooklyn, 11249, and it's inside the shops. It's in. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's off of Bedford. How do you get there by subway?
Oh, you take the L train. It's quite a walk because they're walking towards the waterfront in Williamsburg. It's Kent Avenue, so you're walking all the way towards there, and we're inside the shops at 240 Kent. And shout out to all the entrepreneurs and beautiful shop owners of the shops at 240 Kent. Everyone's just the spirit of like just people creating and co-creating. I'm basking in that, and my sister and I always bask in your presence, Alan. When we see you, you know, it feels like it's like we're in our inner child comes out when we see you, and I'm reminding of myself of the New York Shamanic Circle when we were all in Central Park this past.
Oh yeah.
October.
It was fun. So, you did ask about before. I mean, about the other realities and ETs and all that stuff, right?
And yeah.
What do you want to know specifically?
Well, we have we have so many things that we can ask you, but you have spoken and interviewed and met and have had your own experiences throughout your journey of just meeting and communicating with all these people. What have been some of those things that have shifted your reality into, wow, this is now a new piece that I'm integrating in my life?
Wow, that is a really good question. How intelligent. I mean, because I'm saying it's a good question because I have to think. You know, usually people ask questions and it's like I have an answer, and it's like, but a good question is one that makes the person being interviewed think and then go deeper into themselves. And so, well, you know, actually being in Sedona, I did meet a woman there, and then we traveled, and and we slept I had a van, and we slept at this really strange place, and I think something happened to us in the middle of the night where we were taken, maybe with our bodies or without our bodies, into some craft, some spaceship, or something happened, because then the next day there was a strange mark on the back of my leg, and she also remembered having something happen to her. So, I mean, having to integrate those types of experiences that are so bizarre and so beyond this world, it expands you or contracts you, but it expands possibilities. So just thinking, well, maybe was I abducted or something? I mean, I don't know if that's even true, but I know there's something happening here to a lot of people that's just beyond the boundaries of what we think are possible. And if we consider the impossible, then we have to open up more of our brain, because as soon as you say something's impossible, you shut down the parts of your brain that would consider that possibility. So if you, and it happened for me, if I consider what I thought was impossible to be possible, that already expands us into new realities. So just the consideration of, did I meet these beings? You know, I'm not saying I totally believe it, but I'm not ruling it out. I'm considering the possibility, and that brought me into a new level of considering other possibilities. So it's like what you did in that conversation with your friend. It's like, what else is possible? And you to think that science knows everything, because they don't, or anybody knows everything, you know, shuts down what is outside the realm of awareness. And what human beings are in this new time is expanding awareness. And, you know, there's so much more coming to us, because we have hit the quantum revolution where things are not what they appear to be. And when we can start to recognize that there's more to reality than we ever suspected, then we open up the possibilities in our brains that consider more. We create new neural nets of connection, new discoveries, new inventions, new avenues of perception within the individual and the collective start to be made aware and feasible, because we've been confronted with the unknown. And it goes back to that whole thing of routine. It goes back to this thing of what happened to you. You know, we need to keep expanding ourselves and each other, and only from that will we grow in awareness. And that goes back to the first thing we talked about in the conversation is this more, this difficult edge that, you know, 2013, 2014 is leading us into. It's only difficult if we hold on to who we think we are and what we think we know. And as we go beyond that, the wonder of new realities starts to appear in front of us, and the whole of humanity starts to evolve into things we didn't even know existed. Anyway, that's the birth of the butterfly.
You know, as I'm listening, I'm remembering that I've always had a huge interest in the UFO phenomena ever since I was a little child, and always this desire to meet, you know, these intelligent beings. But of course, you know, I've always the reasoning mind was always telling me, well, come on, those are just stories. That's just science fiction. And then in the more recent years, I, although I can't say that I have officially met one face to face, or one of an extraterrestrial being, a space brother, I feel like I have met them in dream time, and also with that dream time, and when we're dreaming, that is as important as this waking reality that we're in, because that's another area in our lives that has been somewhat muted and shut down and laughed at, is what we dream about.
Exactly.
And what kind of things we dream about.
Exactly. That's been also a kind of corruption of our psychological paradigm to disregard our dreams. And, our dreams are not just fantasies of our minds. I just interviewed an amazing guy from Mexico who talked all about levels and levels of the dream. I have to edit that one. Sergio, I forgot his last name, but he was so great. You should interview him. He's amazing, especially for your Spanish-speaking audience, because his the Mexican culture is focused as these shamans on the dream time awareness. And he is so brilliant, and he's been trained by masters of the dreaming time, and I think you'd enjoy him. So yes, dreams. I mean, I haven't told anyone this, but I had a dream that a friend of mine came to me, and he was like, he told me he was healed, and I hadn't thought of this person in a while, and then. Then I found out that he actually died, recently.
Wow.
So it's like the dream. And then in the dream, I remember crying about him, and it's before I learned that he had died, but I remember sort of wailing in this dream about this, and it was like, then I found out and that had happened, and it was like, it was shocking. Because I don't really have those types of dreams. I actually haven't really had those types of dreams before. But the fact that I did, it showed me first that my awareness had expanded, that there's so much more that is available in our knowing in our dream time, because we have to pay attention to our dreams in general, because our conscious mind is trying to make our lives safe, secure, and predictable. That's the job of the everyday psyche, to give yourself a routine so you know what to expect from the world, so we're not shocked and challenged. But when we start to dream, the unfiltered portions of awareness enter our psyche, so we can be cognizant of more of reality, because we're not trying to make it this routine awareness. So when we pay attention to what comes to us in our dreams, more is known. And I think that's a really good question, and that's another definite aspect of new realities, is to expand our awareness through paying attention to these other realms, because that's us, and we have to start to merge with our dream time reality in order for us to expand as spiritual beings. So, yes to all of that you asked.
It's interesting because I've had some awesome dreams I would say more in the last 5 years. And not that I haven't in my whole life, but I've been documenting them more and paying attention and writing them more, so I remember. And where I'm seeing beings that I've never seen in my waking reality, beings that I've never seen on television, so it's not like, an imprint. Like, I'm like, I've never seen this, or seen myself being picked up in crafts. I remember, I think last year, this dream of these two men picking me up, and we were in New York City, and we were in this tiny little car, futuristic car that I've never seen, and then this car leapt into the water and transformed into something that can be submerged, and then we were traveling under in the water somewhere. I'm like, oh Lord, what is this?
Well, that's all real. Everything. I mean, I think those dreams that you've had of being taken up in craft, and it has to come to you in the dream, because if it came to you in this waking consciousness, it would be too shocking. Because it is shocking. I'm saying to confront a real ET in this waking reality is traumatic. Just for those things we talked about, because suddenly the world is not what we thought it was. It is a shock. And so we need to start to get familiar with those realities in our dream state, so when we meet them in the non-dream awareness, we are prepared. So you're being prepared for a shocking reality. And, even me, I've been preparing for a long time, but I still have not met these beings, because I know a part of me would sort of freak out, because they're nothing like what we think they are. These beings are so different, and so their consciousness just are field. So in the dream state, our consciousness is already distorted. It's already different. You know what I mean? Like by conscious distortion.
Yes.
Right. It's like when you're in a dream, it's like in a sense you're on drugs or you're high. Reality is altered. It's not. Things are fluid. But that's why it's so hard to stay conscious in our dreams, because we've trained our level of awareness to relate to reality in a certain way. Oh, that's a door, that's a window, but in these altered states, or if like you've taken psychedelics or ayahuasca, everything becomes, you relate to it differently in terms of our individual psyche, and the dream state is like that. I mean, Carlos Castaneda talked about the assemblage point being moved, and when your assemblage point is moved, the fluidity of awareness changes. Things are not what they are when we're trying to make our realities concrete. So it's like, I think those points about routine and predictability are so key to this discussion, because when we can break out beyond those levels of awareness, reality becomes fluid, and those other avenues and doorways to perception become apparent, and then we start to travel to new dimensions where we can meet these beings and have these situations that will start to bring those realms into this level of awareness. You know what I mean?
Oh my God! All right, I tell you, like, I've had very blessed experiences my whole life, but I will tell you that none of that compares to just this journey of setting the intention of wanting to explore new realities and being open-minded enough. And I remember, when I look back, there were certain things that were so difficult for me to initially integrate. Something like the subject of reincarnation. I remember reading Gary Zukaut's soul stories and the path of the soul, the seat of the soul. I think I may be misquoting the title of that book. My apologies. But
no, the seat of the soul. That's the name of the book, the seat of the soul.
And so I remember when I came upon, when he was talking about reincarnation, I mean, Alan, I had to stop reading the book. I put it down. I couldn't accept it. It was, my programming of the Christian Catholic construct was too imprinted within me, and it was I couldn't, and it was. And the resistance was also met with this anger, like, how dare this person write this? And it's, what happens is a shock happens, and you start to realize, and you open up your field if you allow it, right?
Well, I'm really happy you're saying that, because what happened to you is exactly where people are at. Their conditioning, whether it's Christian or Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, all those things are, in a sense, not to offend anybody, but lies, those are other people's worldviews and paradigms that are put on top of us so we could conform to a certain cultural way of acting, and they're all not true. They're all made up by institutions that impose their belief on the individual, and they don't give us freedom. Not one of those organized religions give us freedom of awareness. And so when we're confronted with a new idea, if it doesn't fit our programming, most people would reject it. But the fact that you got angry and shut the book, it means that something got in there, sort of disrupted you. It bothered you. It shook you up, and that's where we're going as a collective. That is why 2013, 2014, as we move into the new paradigm, it's hard because people are going to be shaken up with realities that they have yet to integrate. The UFO one, the reincarnation one. I'm not saying reincarnation is true, but, I think it is true for me. I mean, it can't be proven, although some people have proved it. But, this guy Ian Stevenson went back and talked to children that have remembered past lives, and they saw scars like birthmarks on their bodies where they were wounded in a past lifetime. So he's did a whole treatise on understanding these children that came in with these memories. So I don't know if it's proof, but certainly if we are forever beings, right, if we are consciousness, I like to describe it like a radio. Radio receives a signal, or a cell phone, but, let's use a radio. If a radio is receiving a signal is coming from somewhere else. It's not like the person is inside the radio. You can open up that radio. You're not going to find a person speaking in there because the radio is just a receiver of a signal from somewhere else. If the radio breaks, it doesn't mean the signal has stopped. It means you can fit a new radio and pick up the same signal. So it's like that. You have a new body, a new radio receiver, but it doesn't mean the signal is different. Yes, when you come into a new receiver, the memories have to be excavated, but if we are, tuned to that awareness, we can start to tap into the soul that remembers those experiences, because the soul was created to house the memory of all of your lifetime of experiences. That's what I call the Akashic record. It's not outside of you. It's your soul is the housing of an infinite world of experience that is part of our eternally immortal spirit of awareness. So, yeah, I think reincarnation exists. I think I know some of what I've been, but, of course, we've had thousands and thousands of lifetimes. It's like a breath. Each breath is like a lifetime. That's how many different incarnational experience we've had in this dimension, other planets, and other realms of possibility that are starting to bleed through into your conscious awareness. Those beings are beings you've known in other realms, and the more you consider those possibilities, the more your mind expands to meet those beings. And they're coming to you, Rosangel. They're entering your awareness because you've done the work to overthrow your conditioning, and then when that happens, you are like an open vehicle for consciousness to encounter more. And that's what I think people listening to this program are waking up to. And you know what I'm waking up to? It's like, oh, there's more that I have yet to know, and that's exciting.
Well, it is exciting. You know why? Because it gives the little girl within me that divine child hope. Mm-hmm. It's like this. When I focus, when I go in, I feel my heart just expand when when I sit in gratitude, because gratitude to me is also part of this, and this experience and this awakening for me, because I was always moving so fast through life, and just with so many blinders, and not even taking a moment of breath to myself, let alone to really be present with the people around me, because it was just, I got to do this, I got to meet that, I got to go to work, I got to, it's just running around all day. And sitting back in reflection of all the beautiful people that I've met in my lifetime, and all the beautiful things that I learned from everyone that I encounter, how beautiful it is to be in connection with my soul family, to be in ceremony, to go to one of your events, because we're mentioning before, Cafecito listeners, like, you can catch Alan's stuff, not just his interviews on the internet that you can get to, but also the activities that he hosts, and he really brings people together that are so interesting, with so many diverse experiences. And Alan, you're so open. I mean, we've watched you. You're like a professional when you're interviewing people. And one of the things that my sister and I have always been like, we love about you, is just the way you're emceeing. Like, you're I'm looking for my sister because she loves to text message questions, and she text messaged you still there?
Yes.
Okay. It got so quiet. I'm like, whoa.
No, I'm listening to you. I'm listening.
One of her questions, as we have a few minutes to wrap up, was, what has been your most challenging interview and why? When people meet you, one thing about you that is very striking is your gentle presence. Have you always been like that? And because we see that comes through, like, when you're emceeing, and we also appreciate your comedic timing to lighten things up, because sometimes, obviously, when we're exploring new realities, and you've got a panel of different people who are experiencing distinct realities, and they're all together, they're not always going to agree with each other.
Exactly. So that's, if I'm doing a panel and people are coming from different places, it's challenging to sort of work to bridge the different paradigms that people are coming from, because most people, even if they're in this realm, just want to believe what they believe, and they have their agenda. And, what I'm trying to do with humor or conversation or question is try to connect the dots. Have developed their own thesis, and it's great, but I keep trying to see there's a bigger picture here. It's like the elephant, if you're over here, it's not just that. There's people touching parts of the elephant thinking they have the whole picture. It's like we need to start to see that all these places are connected, and no one has the whole picture, because each one of us are parts of a bigger organism, and we need to come into, this is a new thing I'm working on, the synthesis of awareness. We need to, combine all these worldviews together to create something that has never existed before. And I don't know what that is, but it's what we're moving towards, and we're all parts of that. So I really appreciate your intelligence, you and your sister, and the opportunity to make me think about what I'm doing in a different way, and that's inspiring for me. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Alan. I know that you're always busy, and I really do appreciate your time and having you on Cafecito Break, and we look forward to having you on the show more, because we totally we just love you. We love how open-minded you are, and how you approach your life in the world and the people around you, and always with love, always with presence, and always with this gentle sweetness that is you. And so for those who haven't met Alan Steinfeld, who haven't caught his events or his shows, I highly recommend it. There is so much there. I mean, he's made it very easy for you. And a shout out to everyone who works with you at New Realities. I mean, this is definitely a labor of love, and but it does take time, and it's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of hours to be doing this, and I appreciate that, Alan Steinfeld, all the work that you do.
Yeah. Well, people should come this February 27th to the Meta Center, 214 West 29th Street on the 16th floor at 7 p.m. I'm going to be with Mitch Horowitz, who's written an amazing book about the history of spirituality in the West. I think it's a very important piece of work, and that's totally inspiring for me. And then April 12th and 13th in Sedona, you can find this on my website, this Consciousness of Immortality conference with Anita Marjani, Eben Alexander, one of the leaders in this awareness of non-physical reality. Go to newrealities.com. It's all there, but I really recommend coming to Sedona April 12th and 13th for a really exciting look at new possibilities. And people who don't believe in reincarnation or things beyond the body will have first-hand accounts of those that experience that. And I think if anything's going to change your mind about who we really are as eternal beings, it's meeting these people who've had these experiences, because it's so inspiring and so full of love that how could you not think this is true? So thank you for your inspiring questions and ideas and openness, because you've inspired me, and I think as we feed these new realities, we're here to inspire each other, and if we can do that, both of us go to a new place, and everyone listening and everyone who has questions or answers or ideas, we all kind of combine our awareness together to go to a new place that is being built, that has not yet to be created, but we're building it, and that's the future possibility, and collectively something new is unfolding on planet Earth, and those are new realities. So thank you both for this.
Thank you, Alan. I think that was a perfect way to wrap up the show today.
Well, I hope to see you. Maybe you come down on Thursday if you can make it to the Meta Center.
I will definitely try. Pardon. So Alan, thank you once again. Cafecito Breakers, the show, the link to Alan's website is on the show summary page, and that's where you can find more information. Newrealities.com, yes, and that link is already on the show summary page, which is connected to this link on the show. Alan, thank you again so much for joining us on Cafecito Break, and have a great rest of the year. Much abundance and love to you. We love you tremendously, and we love the work that you're doing, and we really do appreciate you, brother.
Let's do more of these, okay?
Yes, sir, we will.
Okay, thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
That is our time for today, Cafecito Breakers. Thank you again for joining us for another show. Ruthie, we have missed you. Shout out to my sister Alex and to Angela Orengo, a co-host. Te quiero mucho, hermana. Saludos a todo el mundo. Wanted to leave you with this quote by Rainier Marie Rilke. We must accept a reality as vastly as possibly we can. Everything, even the unprecedented, must be possible within it. This is, in the end, the only kind of courage that is required of us. The courage to face the strangest, most unusual, most inexplicable experiences that can meet us. Thank you again, Cafecito Breakers, for listening in. This has been Rosangel Perez with Cafecito Break Monday mornings, reminding you to feel good. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook for Cafecito Break, and to send us an email for show suggestions at cafecitobreaknyc@gmail.com. Many blessings. Oh!